It is 10:15 on a Tuesday morning, and you are standing in the office kitchen. The smell of freshly brewed coffee is in the air, and you finally have a moment to breathe after a very busy start to the day. You are staring at the espresso machine, waiting for your cup to fill, feeling relatively relaxed. But then you hear fast footsteps approaching. It is your senior manager. He is walking quickly toward the conference room, a laptop in one hand and a phone in the other. He does not stop. He does not even really slow down. He just looks at you as he passes and says, "We have a bit of a bottleneck on the project, so could you touch base with Sarah and get back to me by EOD?" Then he is gone. He is already around the corner and through the heavy doors of the meeting room before you can even say a word. I know that feeling so well, and it is absolutely terrifying for anyone learning English. In that moment, your brain probably caught the word bottleneck and just stopped. You are standing there with your coffee, thinking about a bottle and a neck, trying to translate those two words into your native language to make sense of them. While your brain is busy doing that, the rest of his sentence, the part about Sarah and the deadline, just flies right past you. By the time you realize a bottleneck means a delay or a problem, your manager is gone and you have no idea what you are actually supposed to do next. You are left with a cold cup of coffee and a heart that is beating way too fast. That is exactly what we call translation lag. It is the invisible wall that stands between an intermediate learner and real professional fluency. It's not that you don't know the words. If you saw that sentence written down on a piece of paper, you would understand it perfectly. But in the real world, where people speak fast and don't wait for you to catch up, your habit of translating word by word is actually what's holding you back. You are treating English like a math equation, where you have to solve every part before you move to the next. But English is not math. It's a flow of sound. If you want to succeed in a fast-paced work environment, you have to stop being a translator and start being a pattern catcher.
It feels like a reflex, though. It is so hard to stop your brain from trying to translate. Most of us spent years in school learning that every English word has an exact match in our own language. We were rewarded for being able to give the correct translation in a test. So when we get to the office, our brain naturally tries to do the same thing. But the office doesn't wait for a test to be graded. People move at the speed of business. If you are still translating the first half of a sentence while the speaker is on the second half, you are going to lose the logical thread of the conversation every single time. It's like trying to watch a movie where the audio is out of sync by 10 seconds. It's exhausting, and eventually, you just want to give up and stop listening altogether.
That exhaustion is real, and it leads to a lot of missed opportunities. But the good news is that you can actually retrain your brain to handle this. You can move past that mental lag. If you find these kinds of real-world office strategies helpful, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. We focus on these specific daily life problems every day, so you can live your life in English without that constant feeling of panic. The shift you need to make today is moving from your eye vocabulary to your ear vocabulary. Your eye vocabulary is great at recognizing words on a page, but your ear vocabulary needs to be trained to recognize the music and the rhythm of the language.
So how do we actually start that training? If my brain is stuck in that translation loop, how do I break out of it when my manager is rushing past me? I can't exactly tell him to slow down and say it again like a textbook. You certainly cannot. You need a technique that works in the moment. We call this the echo method. The goal of the echo method is to create a mental buffer in your mind. Think of it like a YouTube video that is buffering. You don't need the whole video to download before you start watching, but you need a little bit of a cushion so the video doesn't stop. When you hear an unfamiliar word or a fast phrase, instead of stopping to translate it, I want you to simply echo the sound of it in the back of your mind. You just hold the sound there like an echo in a canyon. Do not look for the meaning yet. Just hold the sound and keep listening to the words that come after it. That sounds a bit like magic. You are saying I should just ignore the fact that I don't know a word and keep going? That feels very counterintuitive. My instinct is telling me that if I don't understand word number 3, I can't possibly understand word number 10.
It feels counterintuitive because you are used to being a student, not a listener. But think about how children learn. When a child hears a new word, they do not have a dictionary in their head. They just hear the sound, they store it, and they look at the context of what is happening around them. The echo method forces you to do the same. Let's go back to that office scene. Your manager said bottleneck. If you use the echo method, you hear the sound, bottleneck, you keep it in your mental buffer, and you keep your ears open for the next part, touch base with Sarah. Suddenly, your brain realizes that if there is a problem and you need to talk to Sarah, bottleneck must mean something related to a delay. The context explains the word for you, but only if you keep listening.
So the secret is that the meaning of the difficult word is actually hidden in the words that follow it. If I stop at the difficult word, I am literally cutting myself off from the explanation. It is like stopping a movie right when the mystery starts because you didn't understand one line of dialogue. You have to keep watching to see who the killer is.
Exactly. And the more you practice this, the more you realize that English speakers use these things called chunks. A chunk is a group of words that always go together and create one single meaning. Native speakers do not hear "could you touch base with Sarah" as 6 separate words. They hear it as one single unit of sound. In your head, you should be trying to catch those units. Instead of "could you touch base with Sarah," try to hear "could you touch base with Sarah." It is like a train with different cars. You do not look at each wheel, you just see the train passing by.
That makes a lot of sense. If I try to catch the whole train instead of every individual wheel, it is much easier to see where it is going. But what about those specific workplace phrases? My manager used several of them. He said touch base and he said EOD. Those are not things I learned in my grammar books.
That is because textbooks usually teach you formal English, but real life happens in idioms and shortcuts. Let's deconstruct that specific walk-by speech because it is a perfect example of modern office English. When he says touch base, he just means talk to someone or check in with them. It comes from baseball, where a runner has to touch the base to be safe. In the office, touching base just means making a quick connection. And EOD stands for end of day. It is a very common way to say by 5 or 6 o'clock. If you are listening for those as individual words, you will be confused. But if you learn them as chunks, your brain recognizes them instantly.
So my ear vocabulary needs to be full of these chunks. It's not about knowing 5,000 individual words, it's about knowing 500 common chunks that appear in 90% of office conversations. If I can recognize get back to me or in the loop or moving forward as single sounds, my brain has much less work to do.
Precisely. You are reducing the cognitive load on your brain. When you hear "get back to me," your brain does not have to process 4 words. It processes one sound. This leaves 80% of your brain free to focus on the actual information, like the time and the person you need to call. This is how you stop the lag. You are giving your brain a rest by using these shortcuts. It is like having a fast pass at an amusement park. While everyone else is waiting in the long line of translation, you are skipping straight to the meaning.
I think I need a way to practice this that doesn't involve me standing by the coffee machine and failing in front of my boss. Is there a low-stakes way to build this habit at home?
There is, and it's a very simple drill you can do with any of our podcast episodes. I call it the vibe check. Most people listen to a podcast and try to write down every new vocabulary word. I want you to do the opposite. I want you to play a 5-minute segment of a real conversation and put your pen down. Do not try to understand the words. Instead, I want you to listen only for the vibe or the emotion of the speaker. Are they stressed? Are they happy? Are they giving an order? Or are they asking for help? If you can catch the emotion, you are already halfway to understanding the meaning.
That sounds like it would take the pressure off. If I'm only looking for the vibe, I'm not worried about that one specific word I missed. I'm looking at the big picture.
Exactly. Let's try a quick simulation of that. Imagine you are listening to a colleague in the break room. She is speaking very fast and she says, "I am absolutely swamped this week because the marketing team pushed back the deadline again and now I have to pull an all-nighter to get this report finished." If you are using the vibe check, you immediately hear the stress in her voice. You hear words like swamped and all-nighter. Even if you don't know that swamped means very busy, the sound of her voice and the fact that she is talking about a report and a deadline tells you everything you need to know.
I get it. She is overwhelmed. She is frustrated. I don't need to translate pull an all-nighter to know that she is having a bad time and has a lot of work to do. By catching the vibe, I have stayed in the conversation. I can say something like, "Oh, that sounds really tough. Do you need any help?" And suddenly I am communicating. I didn't need to be a human dictionary to have that interaction.
That is the transformation we are looking for. You went from a silent, confused person to a helpful colleague just by catching the emotion and a few key sounds. This is the difference between academic English and real-life English. Academic English wants you to be perfect. Real-life English just wants you to be present. The more you use the echo method to stay present, the more your brain naturally starts to fill in the gaps. We call this ear autofill. It is just like the autofill on your phone when you are texting. Your brain starts to predict what is coming next.
I have noticed that sometimes when I am listening to a good speaker, I can almost guess the end of their sentence. Is that part of the same skill?
It is exactly the same skill. Listening is not a passive act. It is 50% prediction. If you know the common patterns of the office, your brain does half the work before the speaker even opens their mouth. If your manager says, "We need to circle," your brain should already be thinking back. Circle back. If someone says, "Let's stay in," your brain is waiting for the word loop. Let's stay in the loop. When you learn these collocations, words that naturally live together, you aren't really listening to every sound anymore. You are just confirming what your brain already expected to hear.
This makes the whole idea of listening to fast English feel much less like an impossible mountain and more like a game of catch. I just need to be ready for the ball to be thrown in a certain way. But I suppose to get good at this game, I have to be consistent. I can't just do it once and expect to be fluent.
Consistency is the only way forward. You are literally physically changing the neural pathways in your brain. You are breaking a 10 or 20-year habit of translation. That doesn't happen in one afternoon, but it can happen in 30 days if you are intentional about it. This is why we always suggest listening to long-form conversations. You need time to get into the rhythm of a speaker's voice. In our 1-hour deep dive episodes, you can really practice this. The first 10 minutes might be hard, but by minute 40, your brain has adjusted to the speed and the accent. You are no longer translating, you are just experiencing the conversation.
I have felt that before. After listening to a long podcast, I sometimes find myself thinking in English for a few minutes. It is a strange but amazing feeling. It's like my brain stayed in that English mode even after the audio stopped.
That is the sweet spot. That is when you know you are making real progress. When your inner monologue starts to use the chunks you have been echoing, you are becoming a native-style thinker. So here is the challenge for everyone watching this. For the next 7 days, I want you to try the No Dictionary Challenge. When you are listening to our podcast or watching a show, do not look up a single word. Even if you are totally confused, use the echo method, hold the sound of the difficult words in your head, look for the vibe, and wait for the context to explain it to you. Trust your brain's ability to decode the world. It is much smarter than you give it credit for.
That sounds like a big leap of faith for a lot of people. We are so afraid of being wrong. We feel like if we don't know every word, we are failing. But I guess the real failure is being so focused on words that we miss the human connection.
Exactly. You are not a student in a classroom anymore. You are a professional in an office, a traveler in an airport, or a friend at a dinner party. In those situations, being perfect is much less important than being responsive. If you can respond to your manager with, "Sure, I will touch base with Sari today," you have succeeded. It doesn't matter if you didn't know that bottleneck was spelled with 2 T's or what its literal definition in the dictionary is. You understood the intent, you took action, and you kept the business moving. I feel much more empowered to go back to the office now.
The next time my manager walks past me with a laptop and a fast sentence, I am not going to let my brain freeze. I am going to echo the sounds, look for the vibe, and wait for the meaning to emerge. It might be a bit messy at first, but it is definitely better than standing there with a confused face and a cold cup of coffee.
It will definitely be messy at first, and that is okay. Fluency is messy. Even native speakers mishear each other all the time. The difference is that they don't panic. They just use the context to fill in the gaps, or they ask a quick, targeted question. They don't go into a mental blackout. So give yourself permission to be a little bit messy this week. Give yourself permission to not know every word. Focus on the music of the English language, the rhythm of the office, and the chunks of sound that make up our daily lives.
And if you want to keep practicing these specific workplace scenarios, we have an entire series of episodes dedicated to professional English. You can listen to them while you are commuting or while you are doing chores. The goal is just to keep that English sound in your ears as much as possible until it starts to feel as natural as your own language.
Remember that every time you resist the urge to translate, you are winning. Every time you hold a sound in your mental buffer, instead of reaching for a dictionary, you are getting stronger. You are training your ear to be a powerful tool for your career. Do not get discouraged by the fast talkers. See them as a fun challenge for your new echo method. You have the skills, and you have the brain power to do this. You just need to change your strategy.
I am ready to try it. No dictionaries for 7 days. Just me, my ears, and the context of the conversation. It is time to stop being a translator and start being a communicator.
That is the spirit. We are so excited to hear how this goes for you. If you try the echo method this week, let us know in the comments how it felt. Did you catch a vibe you would have missed before? Did you find yourself predicting the end of a sentence? Sharing your experience helps everyone else in this community realize that they are not alone in this struggle. We are all moving toward fluency together, one chunk at a time.
It is a journey, not a destination. And it is a journey that gets easier every single day that you show up and listen. So keep your headphones on, keep your ears open, and keep echoing those sounds. You are doing much better than you think you are.
You truly are. English is a beautiful, rhythmic, and logical language once you stop trying to break it into tiny pieces. Keep the big picture in mind, stay in the flow, and keep showing up for your daily practice. We will be here every day to provide the conversations and the strategies you need to live your daily life in English with confidence. Believe in yourself, trust the process, and we will see you in the next episode for more real-life English practice. You have got this. Your fluency is closer than it has ever been. Just keep listening and let the language come to you. You are going to be amazing in that next office meeting. Go out there and show them what you can do. One sound at a time, you are building a new life in a new language. It is a beautiful thing to witness. Stay positive, stay curious, and above all, stay in the conversation. Final takeaway for today. Listening is an art of patience. Give yourself the time to hear the whole story before you try to define the words. When you do that, the language stops being a barrier and starts being a bridge to your future. We are so proud of the work you are doing. Keep going and enjoy the music of English today.